Back in summer of 2020. Oh my god, the light just went off. What the fudge? Welcome to one of your favorite series on my channel, reading your real paranormal stories. Not even kidding you, 3:33 when I'm recording this whole. And so many of you guys left me comments on my last paranormal reading video and this time around the community page. So if you want to listen to everybody's stories, go there and check it out. I got a dowsing rod this time. I believe this started a long time ago in Germany when they first started to use dowsing rods to find water, metal, like natural material sources where these copper dowsing rods can connect with frequencies. But it is said that if you are a believer, you know, it connects to you and your consciousness. That's how these work. You're kind of using your mind frequency to work these things. You can connect to spirits, ghosts, and I'll update you guys in my future videos how my dowsing rod is going. Now, I haven't had any ghosts or paranormal experiences since my last video that I done, but I did have some crazy dreams. Whenever I have elevator dreams, whenever I'm in an elevator in my dreams, it's always a nightmare. Nothing bad happened in real life with elevators. Recently I had an elevator dream again. It just like exploded at the top of this tall building and I was like hanging by a rope, you guys, waiting exactly 3 hours in my dream, waiting for rescue. No one was coming to rescue me and it was just anxiety and panic. So every time I have an elevator dream, I hate it because it's always a nightmare. Maybe in my past life, I died in an elevator or I had a bad experience in my past life with elevators. I don't know. When I told my friend this, she said that she always has reoccurring nightmare with cars. And in real life, she actually doesn't like to drive because she always gets anxiety, she says, when she drives. So she says in dreams, whenever she's in a car in her dream, it always turns out to be a nightmare. So let me know if you guys have any dreams that's reoccurring. Like, what is that one dream that you have that gives you nightmare? Now, before we get started, I did wear white. Wearing my cute pearl dress today. Got some winter crystal bracelets and earrings. I get all my organic, natural skincare that I've been obsessed with from YesStyle.com, and they're having a Black Friday massive sale. They're also offering 20% off with no minimum orders. If you use my code GRAZY22BF, it's only till December 2nd. And there's a lot of organic and natural skincare that's actually affordable. So go and stock up on your Asian skincare because they're having a massive Black Friday sale. The first story is from subscriber Kel. We're getting straight started from this most spooky one that I found. And this one is regarding hospitals. I've heard so many creepy stories, paranormal encounters, especially if they work like midnight shifts. And you know, a lot of people unfortunately pass away in hospitals. Hospitals don't have the best energy. You know, people are sick. You're around sick people all the time. So Cal says it happened when I was 16 or 17. I had an internship in a hospital. I went to specialized high school and took pharmacy as my major and was on night shift. At 2 a.m., I had to deliver meds to the 6th floor. All of the staffs and my friends were asleep that night, so I had to go alone. I heard about multiple stories how the 2nd floor is haunted, and as it is now converted to an office floor, the whole floor is empty past 6 p.m. The elevator often stops by itself at the 2nd floor late at night. I was lucky when I went to the 6th floor, there's another nurse going up. But when I had to go down, it was just me. I contemplated between going down by stairs or elevator, but ended up with the elevator. Prayed so hard it won't stop at the 2nd floor. But well, I guess I was kind of unlucky because the elevator did stop at the 2nd floor. The door opened and it was pitch black. And suddenly, a head popped in. I almost wet my pants. It was a man, half bald, around 30s. He looked human, fully human. He even spoke to me. Ironically, he asked if I were human or ghost. When we reached the 1st floor, he finally asked more questions to me. He said he wanted to see his relative that was hospitalized there, and that his relative is in room 202 or 201, I forgot. All 200-ish rooms are on 2nd floor. I told him that the 2nd floor had long turned into an office about 4 years ago. So there is no room 200-ish. The room started with 300-ish, so I was deeply confused and said he probably went to the wrong hospital, but he said he didn't. He thanked me and left. What I didn't realize was about 2 meters away from me, I was watched by the security guard. I didn't see him at all, and the guy who was just talking to me left through the door that was 2 meters away from me. That is a backdoor exit. Could only be used by staff, and it heads to the staff parking lot, canteen, ICU, and the mortuary. Not long after the guy left, the security guard asked me who I was talking to. So I told him everything. He said I was talking to a thin air. If it was a real human, he would walk past him as he headed to the back door. The security guard also reminded me that the time was currently 2 a.m. Any visitors are prohibited to enter the hospital past 9 p.m. So there would be no visitor allowed to enter the hospital. He made it clear once again that he's been watching me since I got off the elevator and I was talking to thin air. No one was there. Still can't wrap my head around the fact that I was talking to a very visible human looking and sounding ghost at 2 a.m. and he asked me if I were human or ghost. It's scary, but not really, since he appeared very human-like. He even had a phone with him. Shivers. I've actually heard a lot of stories where nurses and doctors, they would talk to their patients or patients who were dying, that they would see them visibly as like a full human in another room, knowing that they're going to cross to the other side. I guess in this case, Kyle, like you saw someone that passed away maybe a couple years ago, and I'm sure there are spirits or ghosts that passed away. They're still stuck there, kind of like a time loop. They haven't been able to move on, and especially when nurses, when they work night shifts and they're really tired, that's when the veil is thin, I heard, and you're able to kind of interact with these ghosts that manifest into kind of like another dimension in your peripherals. And that's why the security guard maybe didn't see anything. And if this person had a phone with them, it seems like someone that passed away not that long ago. If I was a nurse, I would be so terrified to work night shifts. But then in a way, like, because I kind of want to experience these, it would be kind of cool that you like interacted with a ghost. So if you have any crazy hospital stories, leave a comment down below. Ash says, "Hi Grace, I have a story about me and my dad. I was 11 or 12 years old at the time, but I still clearly remember everything that happened. One day I had a dentist appointment and my dad took me to my dentist. When we were returning home, we saw a cafe near the dentist. I was starving at the time, so me and my dad went to the cafe. It was empty, but it was quite spacious, well decorated, and the food and all beverages were really cheap. My dad ordered cold coffee, where I ordered Rocher King for our Rocher smoothie. When the food arrived, the waiter looked really blunt/emotional and had a pale face. After eating, we checked out the cashier, who looked pretty similar to the waiter. The checking out was quick since we were the only ones there since we entered. After returning home, me and my dad talked about how tasty the beverages were, also being cheap, but still the whole cafe was empty, like it was invisible to others. A few days later was my mom and dad's anniversary. They decided to take us all out to the same cafe and then later go somewhere else for dinner. After reaching the exact same place where the cafe was supposed to be, it wasn't there. Of course, like anyone else, me and my dad thought how it probably closed down since it was empty. My dad went to check with the people that lived there, and everyone said there was no cafe here since years, even though we just went there a few days ago. Not really a scary story, but it does give me chills whenever I'm reminded of it. Now, some comments below here says that, they believe this person went through maybe like another dimension. Like it could have been like a little time slip, maybe like a time glitch where you go to a place that's not there today in our timeline, but it did exist previously. According to some theories, because time is not linear, it's almost like an infinite loop. There are some glitches where you can enter and then come back out of it without you realizing it. Where the cashier and the people who serve the food and make the food, did they know they were in a time loop? I don't know if you paid by card or cash. If you did pay by card, do you see any transactions that you actually paid and went to this cafe? If you paid by cash, we wouldn't know, but that's actually pretty cool. I want to experience that. Next one is by Yumi, and her experience is with an elevator again. I don't like elevators. So I live in the Philippines, and one time my boyfriend and I decided to go to Baguio, which is known as the most haunted place in the country. I don't believe in ghosts, so it didn't really bother me. We stayed in a quite lively hotel. There were restaurants and lots of people everywhere. We went out to go to tourist spots and we got back to the hotel around 7 p.m. Surprisingly, the lively hotel was suddenly empty. There was no one in the lobby, which was weird, but we shrugged it off thinking that maybe the hotel staff got dinner and we just proceeded to the elevators. One of the elevators opened, but no one came in or out. I took a peek, but no one was inside either. We went on a different elevator because that one just felt creepy. I pushed the button to the third floor where our room was, but but the elevator started going down to the basement. Just like my dreams, where elevators never stop at your floor. Oh my god. We were starting to get nervous at this point. When the elevator doors started to open again, nobody was there, so I pressed the third floor again. The elevator finally started to go up, but it began to shake violently as if there was an earthquake. We were screaming and fearing for the worst, and it felt like we were in there for a long time. When the elevator doors opened again, we were back in the lobby. But this time, we found a lot of people outside waiting for the elevator. We went out and explored the lobby only to find it lively again. It just felt so weird. We decided to take the stairs instead because we didn't want to risk taking the elevator again. When we got to our floor, my boyfriend headed for a room straight away. I, on the other hand, saw a maintenance man and complained to him saying the elevator was broken. He just nodded, so I assumed he would check it, and I went back to my room. My boyfriend then asked me, "What did you do there?" I complained to the maintenance man, and he said, "What maintenance man? You were just standing there alone." I never saw the man again. We took the stairs for the rest of our trip. I don't believe in ghosts, but this experience was so bizarre that I just can't think of any explanation for it. There's multiple stories out there where some elevators just take you to another dimension. You guys know, I made a video about even the elevator game that I believe started in South Korea, where there's special like spells that you can do with the elevator numbers where it will take you to another dimension. And maybe because it seems like the maintenance man you were talking to wasn't real and it was a ghost, maybe there's some kind of energy in the elevator that's just messing with the frequencies. Kind of like radios, when you change the frequencies, you're in a different station. I'm guessing that like these ghosts and energies there are kind of messing with the frequencies that we're in. That's why we enter this like weird moments, like parallel universes, and then snap back to like our frequency and timeline right now. That's the best explanation that I can give, like how you might just kind of tune into a different world. Next story is by Ashley. Back in summer of 2020. Oh my god, the light just went off. What the fudge? That has never happened before. Why in the midst of all videos that I filmed the paranormal video? I did not do that. Ashley says, back in summer of 2021, I went to visit a friend I met online 4 years ago in Florida and stayed there almost 2 months. That's a little scary, meeting someone online and you're staying there for 2 months. Her parents are paranormal investigators on YouTube. She even gives us the YouTube name, Hunting the Haunted. So the house they stayed in itself had many weird events that creeped my friends and her family out a lot of times. I mean, they're paranormal investigators. This was around end in July when I had this weird sleep paralysis dream that I couldn't forget, unlike many others. I was sleeping and it was around 9 a.m. and my body couldn't move, so I knew intentionally I was having a sleep paralysis episode. I wasn't scared because I think it was my brain chemicals that did this, until I was able to open my eyes and I saw my friend on my bed staring at me. I told her to stop, but she told me, "Hey, there's nothing to be afraid of. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm your friend." Her voice seemed kind of strange though, like my consciousness almost knew that this wasn't her talking to me. I couldn't move still, so I was trying my best, as hard as I can, but my body couldn't budge until I saw a woman with the black cloak, almost like a witch, came from the direction that my friend's bed was at and helped me out of my sleep paralysis. She told me to come with her and I followed for some reason. She led me to this living room I have never been before in real life. FYI, many of my dreams took places in the ones that I have been to. I sat down next to her and another man next to me. This man was in my dream, dated back when I was like 10 years old. He was trying to lure me to follow him as well. The witch told me that I cannot die yet, even though there will be many hardships in my life. But I need to keep pushing forward because I am part of her cult. And I am one of them, so I cannot die. Even though she said she can kill me in the stream if she wanted to, but it wasn't my time to die yet. I asked her, "So this is a dream even though I can die in real life?" She said yes and told me to wake up now, and in that instant I woke up and my friend was on her bed still sleeping with her back facing me. I told her my dream and both of us were creeped out so much that there wasn't anything we could do. A few days later, something bad happened between me and my boyfriend. We almost broke up. Months later, my friend that I stayed with in Florida and the one that I've told the story to also left me because she thought I wasn't a good person in her life. I felt like this dream was a way of showing me that this was going to happen and I needed to stay strong. I also think that maybe, my theory, because you were surrounded by people who literally investigate paranormal activity, they probably have energies that stuck to them that they don't even know it, that they bring to the home. In this house, that energy, paranormal energy, was so strong that you started to have, these experiences. But hopefully, thank God you're safe, and whenever you're meeting people online, also stay safe as well. Sophie says, this is an interesting one. I swear I'm somehow connected to a spirit from the Titanic. When I was younger, I got oddly fixated on the Titanic, the real ship, and the movie both. I started to have dreams about it, that I was talking to someone only known as JD who worked in the boiler room. I don't exactly remember the full details of whatever we talked about, but it's easy to think that I was just thinking of JD was Jack Dawson from the movie, and I just kind of forgot it as I got older. One day I remember saying out loud, I'm tired of the Titanic, and then suddenly a video pops up in my recommendations of where the victims were buried. And halfway into the video, we get to someone known as JD, who worked in the boiler room. I literally got chills and started crying. I don't know if it's a ghost or possibly just some kind of crazy coincidence. Even now, I get this uneasy feeling and I just feel like I'm going to start crying. I'm not sure if you, in your past life, you were in the Titanic and you died, but what are the odds that you were talking to someone, JD, in the boiler room, and you find out in real life there was someone named JD in the boiler room? But if I were you, if it's possible, I would look into JD in real life, who this person was and who he really was in real life, and maybe you will be able to really connect to him and he has some kind of story that he wants to tell you. Cotton Candy's story. This one is also about a possible time loop. I come from a Mangalore background, India, where we have the most famous urban legends, especially about ghosts and spirits. This story I heard from my father. At the time of my mother's marriage, my father, the groom, was to arrive from Bangalore. So they started their journey from Bangalore to Mangalore. They left at 6 p.m. in the evening and were scheduled to reach at time of 1 a.m. or so early morning. On their way, they decided to stop for some tea and snacks. They had stopped below the small tea shop under a huge peepal tree. So all the passengers had gotten out for a walk and a sip of tea. My father, who was drinking tea, was suddenly intrigued by this huge tree. He casually touched the branch and played with the leaves. After this short break, they resumed their journey to Mangalore at 7:30 p.m., leaving 289 kilometers on road to cover. They entered this small highway-like road with clean tar roads but had trees on both sides. It was a very nice journey and nothing seemed out of the ordinary, except it was getting quite late at the scheduled time they had to reach. They noticed that this clean tar road they had entered never seemed to end. They noticed that the small stone thingies, which told the remaining kilometers, keep seeing different meters as they kept moving forward. Sometimes it was 36 kilometers left, and the next corner it would be 42. They realized that they were in some kind of loop. The time kept increasing. Now it was 2:30 a.m. People inside the vehicle started to panic, including my father, which he had a marriage to visit. So everyone started to pray to Lord Hanuman, the one who can provide cure to any problem. And miraculously, in the middle of their catastrophic journey on this strange road, they found a Hanuman temple. Everyone hurried, got down, and went inside the temple. Inside, the pujari/priest was worshipping Lord Hanuman. My father asked him the direction to Mangalore without further ado. The pujari, without minding him, continued the puja, but pointed to take a left in the next cross. Finally, my father came across a small road to the left, which he hastily took without a second thought. As soon as he took the left and drove a few miles, they reached the Mangalore National Highway. They, without wasting any time, continued and reached their destination. According to my father, he thinks that till this day, he shouldn't have touched the sacred peepal tree leaves just like that. Apparently, peepal trees are a stop spot for Lord Shiva's helpers, the Ganas. So he thinks the Ganas might have played around with them by putting them in a time loop. The mind-boggling thing was when they reached their destinations and checked the time, it was just 10:15 p.m. They were 3 hours early. So not only were you in a possible time loop, but time went backwards because it was 2:30 a.m. and now it's 10:15 p.m. See, I mean, your father must have like freaking chopped off the leaves or something. My friend, also a close friend of mine, also told me similar stories like this where he was driving and he woke up in a totally like hundreds of miles away, different type of road. They don't remember at all of how they even got there. And for them, it was impossible to get to hundreds of miles away within only like couple minutes. I personally believe that there are energy spots around the world where it can trap you in some kind of a time loop and another dimension or parallel universe. And now I know to not mess with peepal trees either. The next one is by V. We used to live in a rental house by the river. The layout of the entire compound was eerie in itself, and we lived at the lowest floor at the time. It was scarier because it was a second basement, so it's below ground but open to the river at the back, kind of like the lot is sloped. My mom bought me a music box one time. It was fun to play with, so I used it a lot. One time while I was in my class, my phone rang and it was my mom on the caller ID. Of course, I answered it thinking it would be her on the other end of the line, but it wasn't. After answering, the song from my music box played and I found it weird, but didn't really think much of it. I called for my mom if she's there, but no one was answering. Just the music playing. After a while, I just ended it after getting no response. A little later, my mom called again and it was the same thing, just the music playing. I found it really weird because usually you can set a song to play when someone is calling you. In my case, I answered the phone and then the song played. It could not have possibly been someone else because my mom is a stay-at-home mom and she isn't very techy to set a song for calls. Being easily scared, I hid it away and removed the batteries. I think it got thrown away too. Crazy thing is that years after this, my friend gifted me another music box for Christmas. I was happy to receive it and forgot about what happened, but just days after getting the gift, I got a call again from my mom, and it was the same. I answered, the music played, different music for different box. Kept calling my mom, but no one was at the end of the line. I panicked and cried this time. It was so bad they called my mom and I explained everything. Asked if she called me, but at both times she said she didn't. My friend who gave it to me was kind enough to offer to take it back and throw it away. I have never had a music box and never had a call like that again since. Till this day, the sound from music box irks me, or anything similar to it like a kalimba. That is super strange because it isn't just any song, it is that specific song you're saying from the music box that you were gifted with. I have no explanation for this, V. If this happened to you, I have no explanation. At first I was thinking maybe your phone was spoofed, which is when people can call you from another person's ID. It's just like a technology thing where people could actually like hack into your phone numbers and things like that. I don't know if someone is stalking you. Like they know that you got a specific music box, but the fact that it stopped after you gave the music box away, that is creepy. Miss Piggybank Robber. This one is about curses. This was way back in college. I was staying in a dormitory with 3 girls. One of them, let's name her Dee Dee, had a nightmare one night. The next day after her classes, she told me the details of her dream. In her dream, she was heading to a study room, but the guards and janitors told her not to go to her study room as they saw spirits from the CCTV live feed that's in the room. While chilling, one of her friends pointed to the top of the building and said, "Look, there's something on the roof." When Dee Dee turned to look, it was a spirit lady figure in all white with long hair and seemed to be angry. So Dee Dee asked the spirits why she was there. The spirit said she was looking for someone, but that someone is not there. Dee Dee asked who, and the spirit said the name of a close friend of mine. Let's name her Ollie. Bear in mind, Ollie has moved out from the dormitory and rented a house with her boyfriend. That's when Dee Dee woke up and she remembered the time was about 2 a.m. After hearing the story, I was contemplating and telling Ollie about Dee Dee's dream. 2 days later, I called Ollie to tell her about the dream, and when she asked when was the dream, I said 2 nights ago when she started bowling. She said she's coming over to see me to talk to me about something. When she arrived, she looked so disheveled from crying. Now Ollie's side of the story. She said 2 nights ago she was feeling severe abdominal pain and went to the hospital around midnight. While waiting for her turn at the emergency room, there was a lady with a child that is sleeping in her arms. After an hour or so, the child woke up abruptly, looking straight at Ollie and started crying. Ollie knew something was wrong with her, and she started to feel scared and somehow had a feeling that the child saw a spirit near her. After checking, the doctor said nothing's wrong with her and she went home with abdominal pain and had been feeling the same pain till the night Ollie and I met. The next day after meeting Ollie told me she called her mom to tell her this whole story, and her mom spoke to a shaman. Apparently, the spirits in Dee Dee's dream who was looking for Ollie was a curse sent by someone to Ollie. And because the person who sent it thought that Ollie was staying at a dormitory, the spirit was stuck there. Shaman did cleansing ritual and she was fine. Again, I cannot confirm that these stories are true. This is what my subscribers are submitting to me, and I picked those that seem the most, like it really did happen to them. In the past, I did an interview with a priestess / someone who practices witchcraft, and talking to them, they do believe that curses actually exist. And they work with these energies to break these curses, or hexing someone, bringing luck in your life by using spells. So I personally do believe that energy manipulations do exist in the form of spells and witchcraft. And whoever done this, I believe, was a powerful witch that's able to actually manifest this and to hurt someone like this. But people who are energetically strong, spiritually strong, you're always protected, no curses can affect you. It really depends on your strength spiritually and mentally and physically. Okay, we're at our last story submission of the day. I feel like these videos go by so fast, so I try to make it as long as I can for you guys. So this one is by user TU5HZ. This one isn't my story, but my babushka's. My babushka had a close friend called Tamara, and so oftentimes after work she would go to her house to see her. So one Thursday, my babushka went to Tamara's house to see her, but when she opened the door, Tamara's face was missing. It was just a skeleton, so a skull instead of a face. I would be freaked out. What the hell? My babushka, of course, was freaked out, but she thought she was just imagining it from being tired after work. How do you imagine? If I saw a skull as my friend's head, I will wake up from my tiredness. Everything else about Tamara was normal except for her face. Tamara was talking normally as if nothing was wrong, but once they walked into her kitchen, her face went back to normal. After my babushka left, she just convinced herself that she had imagined it. Then on Saturday at 6 p.m., she called Tamara because she was planning to see her again on Monday. But the phone rang multiple times, yet Tamara never picked up. So on Monday, my babushka went back to her house, but no one answered. So she opened the door herself since she had the key. She heard voices upstairs, and it was Tamara's family talking about how Tamara had passed away. On Saturday at 6 p.m., she had been hit by a car. What had happened was Tamara's car broke down, but since Tamara was an engineer, she knew how to restart the car, so she got out and opened the bonnet to fix the wires. But at the moment, drunk driver was speeding down the road and crashed into the back of her car, so she was hit and flew 14 meters from the impact. Her friend was in the back seat the whole time, so she saw everything. Unfortunately, Tamara did not survive, but her friend did, and she was the one who told my babushka. Of course, my babushka was devastated since this was her best friend, but she was also worried to see someone with a skull face again because she knew what it could mean. It could mean that you were able to predict if people were gonna die. In the end, she never saw anyone with the skull face again. When my babushka was telling the story to me and my brother, we asked her why didn't she tell Tamara what she saw. My babushka said, "What do you want me to tell her? Tamara, your face is a skull? She would think I'm crazy." So instead, she just tried to ignore it. The story honestly had creeped me out since I was a child. Since my babushka is a really hard-headed kind of person, she isn't the type to make up story like this. It really makes me wonder if my babushka had some kind of spiritual powers and was able to have this premonition of sort as a warning sign. That really brings me shivers because I've also learned that the future is never set in stone, that it could change. So the fact that there's a warning sign before things happen means that sometimes like certain things in life are meant to happen or like it will happen. There's stories where animals like cats and dogs can predict if someone is going to die in a couple of days or not. So I do believe that maybe there's some kind of, I don't know, like an energy if the universe knows that you're going to die from this physical world and move on. I would be freaked out if I'm able to predict people's death because I do not want that power. I don't think anyone wants that power. So again, hearing these stories, I just feel like everything, again, believing that is energy and frequency, things can turn like a radio. Sometimes things can slip and you could see things that we just normally can't with our two eyes. Leave a comment down below if you have any crazy, paranormal, unexplainable mystery stories that happened in your life, and leave a comment down below and you could be picked, possibly picked in my next video. Thank you so much for watching and see you in my next video.